The Greeks have talked about curiosity since 300s BC as a tool to explore oneself and our beliefs. But it's not just philosophers. Because curiosity is so powerful, it has been utilized and even exploited by the people one would least expect. YouTubers. YouTubers have become such masters at invoking a sense of curiosity, a sense of wanting to know, so much so that oftentimes we find it difficult to not click on a video even if it's completely unrelated to us. But what's the role of this potent curiosity in critical thinking? And why is it even relevant to change? And if it is so important, how can we start getting more curious? Curiosity is a part of critical thinking. Or is it? In 300 BC, in case you didn't get that reference, I was imitating Michael from Vsauce. When I was around 14 and 15 years old, I was lucky enough to come across his videos. And he is a guy I am extremely grateful for building my curiosity. He used to make a lot of videos on absurd topics and made them interesting by asking a lot of questions before answering them. Many of his videos ended on a deep existential note.
I am not a thing that dies and becomes scattered. I am death, and I am the scattering. And as always, thanks for watching.
Such a way of teaching through questions dates back to 300 BC and was popularized by Socrates. It's, it's called the Socratic method. It involves people in a process of critical thinking and self-examination through conversation and questions instead of just providing them with answers. A classic example of this is a conversation between Socrates and a young man named Euthydemus. Euthydemus comes to Socrates and is confident that he understands the nature of justice and injustice. Socrates asks to him whether lying is just or unjust, to which Euthydemus replies it's injustice. Socrates then follows with another question. Is it just for a general to rob or deceive an enemy army? To which Euthydemus replies, such actions are just when done to enemies and unjust when done to friends. Socrates follows up with another question. What about a commander who lies to his army to boost their morale? Euthydemus is left speechless and eventually declares that maybe he does not understand justice. Such type of questioning can be directed not just out there, but also towards ourselves to understand complicated, confusing, even complex parts of ourselves as opposed to concrete information. Like, it would be stupid to sit and wonder what my height is. I can just measure it. But whether I am a good or a bad person is a more complex matter. But what does any of it have to do with change or transforming ourselves? Socrates went to the extent of saying that an unexamined life is not worth living. I believe that the amount of stuff we distract ourselves with in the past decade has increased so much, and so has its potency. It's become a second nature to bury our heads in distraction. And it's only natural that we don't stop and think about why we do the things we do. What's the underlying purpose behind it? It's just like we are on autopilot, even like a zombie, just reacting to the stuff that comes our way. That is how I was. There was not much curiosity or critical thinking in here. Just operating on my beliefs, assumptions, thought patterns without any examination of them. And that is a sure short way of living an unfulfilled and unintentional life. All of that can be brought into light using curiosity. When we sit and think about small things like setbacks in our goals, the underlying reason for our action or inaction come up to light. And we can then use that to improvise and equip ourselves for future challenges using the same curiosity. It's all about asking the type of questions which help us understand ourselves better and use that understanding to progress further. Tony Robbins said, "The quality of your life is determined by the quality of the questions you ask." But I believe in the power of just sitting in questions without the worry of an answer. Doesn't matter whether the questions are small or even insignificant. This all sounds fancy and grand, but how exactly can we start developing critical thinking and curiosity in our daily lives? The approach I found extremely useful is what I call reaching to the core. It comprises of two aspects. First is following the trail of whys. I've picked up the phrase from Julian Blanc, who talks about it in the context of inner emotional work. But I've also found it to be extremely useful just in the context of thinking as well. The approach is this: just keep asking yourself why. For instance, let's suppose you snapped at someone. You sit and wonder, why did I snap at them? You think maybe because she was being an asshole. You again continue. Why was her being an asshole triggering to me? And so on. The principle behind this is like an explorer approaching an unexplored territory without any judgment and with curiosity, eager to explore what he finds out. Using this approach, you might not reach at a conclusive, definite answer after 36 minutes, but in the process, you'll get a more deeper and deeper understanding of yourself, and you'll get more curious as well. The second is bringing it back to yourself. If you do following the trail of whys, you'll notice the mind's tendency to direct attention away from itself. Our task is to just notice it and keep bringing it back to itself or ourself. This way, we'll keep going in deeper and deeper within ourselves instead of just roaming around the surface.
But if I'm an overthinker, wouldn't this harm me?
We usually default to a thinking which lacks curiosity and is without any definitive pattern. If we follow the above two steps, I believe that we will avoid overthinking and develop critical thinking in the process. There's another beautiful quality to curiosity, which is this: it makes you more and more curious, which in turn leads to you being more open towards new thought patterns, towards people, towards circumstances, as opposed to being judgmental, which just leads us to becoming more and more closed off.
What's in it for me?
Summary: the Socratic way of teaching is a powerful way to develop critical thinking in people using curiosity. But such curiosity can also be directed inwards. To gain back control of our lives, we must examine the purpose and intention of our actions. This can be done through reaching the core as an inner explorer. The goal we are trying to aim for: to equip ourselves with critical thinking using curiosity, which gives us a better understanding of ourselves and helps us actively craft our lives. The concrete action steps, I believe, that would be useful in reaching the goal: taking out 15 minutes a day without distraction and trying to reach the core, which consists of A, asking why incessantly, and B, keeping the attention on oneself. Living curiously and with critical thinking helps you organize a more intentional life. But why live intentionally? What's the purpose of it? What's the benefits of it? I've made a video on intentional living and simplicity. To watch that, you can click here.